If you have a child in your life, whether it be your own child or perhaps it's a grandchild or your favorite niece or nephew, you're probably wondering how you can invest in their future. One way to do that is through a 529 college savings plan, in which you can use that money to help them pay for tuition. Stick around in this video. I'm going to be covering all the ins and outs of what a 529 plan is, the benefits and the cons, and where to open one. Hey, what's up guys? It's Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free. And today we are talking about 529 plans. So what exactly are they? A 529 plan is a type of investing account in which you can contribute after-tax dollars and put it into the stock market and let that investment grow over time. You can then take withdrawals tax-free and use that money to pay for qualifying education expenses. So what types of education expenses actually qualify in money that you can withdraw from the 529 plan and use it on? Qualifying expenses include tuition and fees for any undergraduate, graduate, or vacation school. You can also use the money to pay for tuition and fees for K through 12 expenses. This is actually a new rule that came into play a couple of years ago, and so now parents and grandparents can use this for their child to pay for K through 12 expenses. You can also use the money to cover books and school supplies, off-campus housing when that child goes to college, campus food and meal plans. You can also purchase laptops that will be used for school, computers, software and equipment that also helps them along with their classwork, special needs and accessibility equipment for students, and you can also use the money to help pay off student loans. So what are the contribution limits of a 529 plan? Now at the federal level, there are no contribution limits, which is great news for parents or anybody who's opening a 529 plan. However, the contribution limits are controlled by the state. You'll want to check with your specific state to see what those contribution limits are. Keep in mind though, the limits that I found in my research are actually really large. We're talking about anywhere from 200,000 to 500,000 plus as a contribution limit for your 529 plan. That's a lot of money for most people, so I think you're going to be okay with putting money into a 529 plan and not hitting that contribution limit. Who is eligible to open a 529 plan? Anyone can open a 529 plan for the beneficiary. Now, where things get a little bit sticky or something that you'll want to pay attention to is if you open that 529 plan under your name and you want to transfer ownership, you must have a family connection in order to transfer that ownership. It's best to wait until that child has a social security number that you can open it up under their name so that you don't have to worry about the transfer of ownership. However, you can open one, let's say as a father-to-be or a mother-to-be, under your name, and once baby is born, then you can transfer ownership. Now, transfer of ownership, in order to do this, you have to have a son, daughter, stepchild, foster child, adopted child, brother, sister, stepbrother, or stepsister, father or mother, stepfather, stepmother. There's a whole bunch of different relations that actually qualify for a transfer of ownership, so just keep in mind there has to be a family connection for that. Otherwise, it's just best to open it up under that child's name. Let's talk about the benefits of a 529 plan. First of all, the money that is invested into a 529 plan grows tax-free. You can also take those withdrawals tax-free to pay for those qualifying education expenses. You can invest the money in various stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Some 529 plans will kind of give you a mix or a strategy to help you figure out and determine when it's likely that you'll start withdrawing on that money, and so they'll start really aggressive with an aggressive growth strategy and then reallocate those funds as it gets closer to maybe when that child turns 18 to more conservative funds like bonds to help you retain most of that investment. While there's not a tax deduction at the federal level for your contributions, there are tax deductions at the state level. Most states do offer some sort of tax deduction, so you want to check again with your specific state in order to determine what deductions you qualify on your tax return. This is also a great way way to build up college savings at a much faster rate than trying to use something like a savings bond or a high yield savings account. You're just not going to keep up with inflation with those types of products. So using a 529 plan and investing into things like index funds, stocks, and bonds is really going to help elevate the amount of money that you can provide towards that child's tuition. Let's talk about some of the cons of a 529 plan. One of the biggest cons here is that you can only use the money for qualifying education expenses. So if you're wanting to supply your child with perhaps their first car, or help pay for their wedding later on down the road if they get married, or putting money towards a down payment, you cannot use the money from a 529 plan to pay for those things. I also mentioned that it is not tax deductible at the federal level. And a big one here is if you think, and we all know tuition has just skyrocketed in the amount of money that it takes to go to school. If you anticipate needing federal financial aid, a 529 plan can reduce the amount of federal financial aid your student is eligible for. The reductions is not that much. It's maybe like a 5% reduction in financial aid because this money is treated as income for that student. And so you'll want to just keep that in mind if you think that could be a possibility for them. I still think it's absolutely worth it to have money set aside for tuition versus letting that student take on more and more federal student loans or even private loans. So why would you want a 529 plan? You want a 529 plan because you want an easy way to build up college savings or any education expenses for the child and do so with an investment that has a better rate of return than something like a savings account or a savings bond. You also want an easy way to save up for that child's education expenses so they don't have to worry about it later in life. All right, so knowing all of that information, where can you open a 529 plan? You want to check with your state. There are state-specific 529 plans. Now, just because there are state-specific ones doesn't mean that you have to enroll in that plan. You can pick one from a different brokerage account and use that money. The only time that you'll really want to pay attention to state-specific plans is if your state also includes the tax deduction on your state tax return. So check there. I have an incredible resource that you definitely want to check out. It is from thecollegeinvestor.com. It is the ultimate guide to 529 plans, including 529 plans for every single state listed. It's going to give you the ins and outs of what you should look for in your state and other plan information that you might not know about. Definitely check that out. I will leave a link to that guide down below. My experience with a 529 plan has been really simple. California, the state that I live in currently, does not offer any state tax deductions. So I said, screw it, we're just gonna stick with Vanguard. Vanguard is my preferred investing company where I keep my retirement accounts, all my investing accounts with. So I said, let's do Vanguard and open up a 529 plan. I started with a $3,000 investment. I actually opened this up before my daughter was born. Now that she's here, we've transferred ownership because all you need to do is pop in the social security number, say the relationship of the child, and automatically that money has transferred over. Now I'm going to pull up a screenshot here. So I started off with a $3,000 investment, and over time I've received an 8.1% rate of return. I've been investing $100 per month into this account, and I have a feeling once I kind of get a handle on the rest of the expenses that comes with having a baby, I'm going to increase that amount over time. I currently have an ending balance of $5,753.51. Good enough for a half semester of courses in college. Don't you think? Just know any amount that you can contribute to a 529 plan is going to offset any worry or anxiety that you might have or your child might have as they think about tuition and fees. Okay, that is a look at how a 529 plan operates. I have one. I recommend them if you want to look at ways to invest for your child's educational future. This is the investing account to look at. Disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor. advisor. I am not a CFA, so please do your research. This is what I have found true for my own experience. Let me know if you like this one, give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget, if you have a favorite child in your life and you want to gift them the knowledge of financial literacy, then you'll definitely want to check out my book, Investing for Kids, 65 activities on growing, investing, and saving your money. I will leave a link to my book below for you to check out, and I'll catch you in the next one.